This is really weird.
Why? Oh,
The noise canceling is way too good.
It's like, I can't hear you.
I can't hear myself. I'm talking, but I don't hear anything.
Yep, it would seem so. Right, stream should be online. Just waiting to find myself somewhere. So I was playing Grandmaster Terran today on EU in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny. So I scout him doing Archon's name. Don't listen to him. Okay, very nice. When did you post that?
Oh, like 5 seconds ago.
Oh, okay. Thought it was like an hour ago. So like chat from like 3 hours ago on here. Anyways, I scout him doing a 1-1-1, and I completely destroy his push. Like I stopped it, and I had like 50 supply left.
Mm-hmm.
I had my entire army. So I go up. I'm like, okay, I'll end this game. I go over and I attack him, and he's got like the same army back at his base. I'm like, so I don't lose my army. I kite him all the way back to my base.
Mm-hmm.
And I take out, because he brought all his SUVs with him this time. It was the same army, but no, just more with his SUVs. So I say, okay. So I make my army. I add it to what I have, and I pull back to my base. And I set my guys up in a flank, so I have some guys it was a Shakira's plateau, so I have some guys at the third, some guys at the watchtower, some guys in the back of my natural. So he ends up taking out my natural. And I use my probes as like a buffer. And I take out all his SCVs, and I take out his entire push. And then I was left with like 2 stalkers and a sentry.
Mm-hmm.
But I sacked all my probes at the natural. So I only had like about 7 probes left.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I'm like, alright. I kind of lost my natural, but I'm feeling good. I still have my main. I still have my entire, 6 gates. Can't really afford it now, but I'm like... So I started making
7 probes, 6 gates.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
Bronze League macro.
Alright. And then, he actually comes back with the same exact army.
Huh.
For a 3rd time.
How?
With, I watched a replay, and apparently he had mules. He called down mules.
Oh.
Yes, and, he ended up with the same army again for the 3rd time. It's kind of upsetting. Kind of made me sad because I thought I was winning, and I thought I was doing good. I mean,
you figure when you kill all of their,
SCVs, I killed his army twice. The first time pretty convincingly. The second time, okay, I lived, but I kind of lost a lot. But I killed him. I killed his entire army. Then he comes back with another army. I'm like, what? How can you afford that? You have less. He had less SCVs than me. It was like 14 to 30 at one point, and I had 2 bases to his 1. And at that point, then I crushed his army, and then it was like 14 to 30, and then you thought you won, and then you end up losing. I'm like, what's going on? But enough about that. Don't actually have anybody on right now, but it doesn't matter. We can still do the cast.
It's going on YouTube, maybe.
It'll go on YouTube. We just won't answer any questions yet. So today's episode of Into the Void is going to be focusing on upgrades. And basically, the question is, what about upgrades? I know upgrades are good. When should we get them? These are like the common questions you hear all the time. Jshore, what do you know about upgrades?
It's a really complicated thing. If you get the timing right or wrong, it can be game-changing. So,
definitely, people do upgrades in timing attacks, which we'll get into in a little bit later. People do upgrades as defensive measures against their opponent. People use upgrades to complement their army composition, which is always depending on their playstyle. So not every upgrade is going to be good for that person. Like, just because you see me or somebody else get an upgrade, it might not be the best one for you. So we're going to talk about specific upgrades that we can get in the early game, and we're going to talk about different matchups. So let's start off with something simple. Let's go with Protoss versus Terran. What is your normal strategy? What is your mindset in Protoss versus Terran in general?
Don't lose to MMM.
Don't lose.
Whatever that takes.
Whatever it takes. Sacrifice the wife. No. But whatever it takes. But yes, we don't want to lose MMM. One way we cannot lose MMM, of course, is through our upgrades. Now, against a Terran, what upgrades do you think are important, usually?
Apparently, you're supposed to go for armor first because it helps your zealots, and it's good against Marines.
It's pretty good. I mean, armor's good. I mean, that's kind of one of those things where you hear a lot of players say, "Oh, get this, oh, get that." Armor's going to be pretty good in terms of playing defense. Of course, you're not going to. If you're the type of person who likes to macro and stay back at home and not do some kind of blink stalker timing or even harass guerrilla warfare with your blink stalkers, armor is the way to go. Armor is going to be good if you're going for some kind of defensive charge lot build, and if you're not going Colossus, armor kind of sucks for Colossus. Why? Because your Colossus really shouldn't be getting hit. That's the point of the Colossus. It's so far in the back that who cares if he has armor? I mean, at one point you're going to have Vikings, but armor is not going to stop Vikings. Really, it's not going to make it or break it for what the damage can do. So armor is going to be good in Protoss versus Terran if you're that defensive type of player who likes to macro back and not be aggressive. And it's only good if you're not going Colossus. Now, what about on the flip side? We talked about armor. When should you get armor?
At some point.
At some point. We've established that we want to get armor at
Yes.
some point in time. Definitely. When
You
is
just want to,
Yep. Go ahead.
you don't want to be behind in upgrades at any point in the game. And if you are, you have to find some other way to make up for it, so you don't just lose a fight.
Right. You want to get armor, you want to get these upgrades, specifically armor if you are that type of player, at a time where you're not going to die, as Jshore said. And you have to scout Terran. You need to see what he's doing. Obviously, if he's going to do some kind of 1-1-1, all in, bring in SCVs, there's no point in getting armor. Armor's not going to do you a whole lot of good when there's 1,000 SCVs and you have one Stalker with 1 armor, compared to a lot of more Stalkers with no armor. So depending on what you scout, if you scout a normal MMM Terran, he's expanding, he's playing a typical macro game, and you want to play defense and you want to go for that gateway army, non-Colossus, then you should get armor at the time that it applies, either really before his first push or directly after the first push. Not any time during it. Like if you see him pushing out of his base with your observer, you don't even want to be thinking about upgrades.
Well, yeah, I mean, 100 and... I don't know the timing, and this is bad because I've been playing Protoss for 8 months, but I'm going to say 100 seconds. That's not going to save you in a fight, because it's not going to finish in time, and you can use that money for something else.
Right, right. You need to be thinking about... Upgrades are very long-term. So if he's going for some kind of attack, that's not going to help you now. If he's going for an attack, you want physical. You want an extra army, extra units, extra photon cannons, extra SimCity, whatever the case is.
It's like
Extra
he's at your
gas.
base, and you have no Colossi yet, and you have 200 gas, and you go, I'm going to build Thermal Lance for the Colossi that I don't have.
Exactly.
And then you die.
And then you die. Yes, exactly. So, let's talk about why it would be good before he attacks. Well, it would be good against Terran before he attacks, because you can predict, based on what you're scouting, the first time he's going to attack. So by the time he does attack, you'll have that upgrade advantage, as I call it. Upgrade advantage is something specifically in Protoss versus Terran where you hear it a lot. It's where you're going to be favored because you have that advantage in the upgrade. Upgrade's pretty simple. But Terran's going to usually have their mobility. Terran's going to have the medevacs. He's going to have Stimpack. He's going to be running around like a madman. He's going to be dropping everywhere. Protoss doesn't have that mobility. They sacrifice that. So instead, they're going to go with the more powerhouse units. A little bit less on the quantity, but higher on the quality. So you're Terran's sacrificing the, I'm going to be 3-3, for I'm just going to be everywhere at once. Who gives a shit if these guys are upgraded, but they're going to be stimming in your mineral line? Have fun. So the other side is, as soon as you crush Terran's attack, Terran, once he gets crushed in a battle, you have yourself a variety of options. You can macro up, you could take an expansion, and this is the timing to get your upgrades. because you know that he's going to need to regroup his army again before he does another serious attack. He could still do drops, but you're not too worried about losing the game specifically to one drop if you're confident in your micros and your map control is good. Anything more on that topic, Jshore?
Well, I guess depending on the battle, you could just go kill them, at which point you might not want to be getting upgrades, because it's not always a good idea to go all in on attacks like that, but if you are, upgrades are a bad thing at that point.
Right, if you're deciding that you want to counterattack and win it, which I usually don't recommend, then...
Especially if it's just versus Terran with bunkers and SCVs.
He's got a bunker, okay? He's got 3 SCVs and a bunker. He's safe versus anything.
You did not see that game. Oh my gosh.
I saw it today. Yes.
That was horrible. That was so terrible. That didn't help.
That bunker saved many lives that day. Yes.
That's unrelated.
Very, very true. But you normally do want to be playing for the macro game, so you kind of want to get yourself up into the mindset that, sure, I will counterattack, but I'll still get the upgrade. And I don't plan on winning here, but if I do, it's a plus anyways.
Mm-hmm. You could use it as, like, offensive, keep you in your base while I take the map.
Right. What about weapon? When is weapon good? Weapon upgrades.
To be honest, I never know. I tend to get both at the same time. It's probably not a good idea.
The only time I ever go double forge is actually versus Terran. So there are times when you can do both at the same time. In which case, it would... That's basically when you're mainly going for a dedicated gateway army. Because those upgrades were going to affect Stalker and Zealot more so than the Colossus itself. Usually just weapon favors the Colossus.
Yeah. If you're going Colossi, they scale so well with weapons.
Right, because it attacks twice.
And Splash.
And weapons actually scale well with Zealots because of the same reason, and Splash with the Colossus, as you said. But armor works really well with Zealots as well because they're tanks. Mm-hmm. And weapons work really well with the Stalkers because they're going to be your DPS. Mainly, they're going to be specifically your DPS. Of course, the Zealots will do some damage too, but they're kind of just your tanks. That's why when the Zealots die, the Stalkers always run out of there, get out of there because they can't tank for anything. So... it's still viable to do a double forge strat and go for twice the upgrades sometimes, depending on your strategy and depending on how you play, your play style. There's no right or wrong answer here. But let's give the hypothetical that we're only going with one forge. Then I'll re-ask it. When is it a good time to get the weapons upgrade over the armor?
Well, you've kind of already said, I think, when you're just going to be aggressive with Colossi.
That's definitely one answer. If you're going for some kind of timing attack, that's what I was looking for. Some kind of aggressive timing. If you're looking to do a 2-base Colossus push, that would be a perfect time to get a +1 attack, +1 weapons, because you're going to be attacking at a time where +1 finishes. It's going to scale really well with the Colossus, and it's going to supplement your attack to make it even stronger at that time than had you not have gotten the upgrade and taken that offensive route. Obviously, weapons upgrade would not do too well or have too much utility if you were to just get the upgrade and then just sit in your base and wait and do nothing. And of course, it'll help when he attacks you, but it's definitely not as solid play as you would expect if you weren't going to attack him. So, weapons upgrade is usually associated with timing attacks and being aggressive. Armor is associated with playing defensive and playing a more macro style. For example, another good time to get a weapons upgrade is if you're going for a blink timing. If you're going to be going blink stalkers against Terran, if you're into that style, where you've got your Twilight Council already, get your Forge, get your +1, and you don't need to worry about armor. Why don't you need to worry about armor with blink stalkers, Jshore?
Because they suck with armor.
They do suck with armor, but why else?
But you're blinking.
Exactly, you're
blinking.
Need it. There's no point in getting armor because the whole point is for them to mitigate the shield damage. So as soon as they lose their shield, you just blink them away, and you're not going to take any hits. Therefore, there won't ever be hypothetical with good micro. There won't ever be a time that you're going to be needing or going to benefit from the armor itself.
Well, if you're me,
upgrade. Well, if you're Jshore, you're going to have more use on the armor than the weapons, right, Jshore?
Because you're probably going to be taking shots from concussive shells and failing to